Hello and welcome to our discussion today on ITV's Solicitor Apprenticeship Scheme. I'm Lynsey Poulton, a Senior Editor with Practical Law's in-house team.
I'm Barry Matthews, Divisional GC at ITV, looking after our commercial, marketing, interactive and online paid distribution businesses.
And I'm Holly Moore, a Solicitor Apprentice at ITV, currently in the ITV Studios Entertainment Department.
Thank you both for joining me today. Barry, the Trailblazers Legal Apprenticeship Scheme was launched in September 2016, providing a new and alternative route into the legal profession. Why did ITV decide to recruit a solicitor apprentice?
We saw it as a natural extension to our existing trainee scheme, so we set that up in 2004, mainly because we had a number of really brilliant paralegals coming through our doors and leaving because they needed to pursue their careers elsewhere to get a training contract with a law firm, not so much another in-house team, but mainly the law firms within London. So back then we decided to register with the SRA, and since then we had 40 or so people come through our doors. Had really positive experience with that. Some great stars that have come through, right from being a paralegal to a trainee to a qualified, right up to a head of department and negotiating agreements with Simon Cowell. So we've seen the benefit of actually investing in young people coming through our doors. And so once the Trailblazer Apprenticeship came on stream, we thought it's absolutely perfect for us as an in-house team, mainly because the great thing about it is that we get as someone right from the very start. They can learn about the business and the law at the same time, learning the law in context, which to me is absolute the zen for any in-house lawyer.
Absolutely. And what was the recruitment process you went about to identify Holly?
Well, what we wanted to ensure that it was as rigorous as we would be if we were recruiting for a qualified solicitor. So we took the decision to do a three-stage process. Okay. So the initial application required each of the candidates to write an essay on why they wanted to be a solicitor and, more importantly, why they wanted to work for ITV.
Absolutely.
Interestingly, we had some applications where people said they didn't watch television. An interesting angle to take. But once we received those applications, there was some 500 of them. We then had to whistle them down, and we whistled them down to 50. We used an interesting piece of software to help us with that, because what we wanted to do is ensure that academic qualifications weren't just looked at in a kind of rawest sense, that we wanted to have some context to those qualifications. So we employed a company called Rare. They gave us a performance rating for each of the subjects which the students had put on their CVs, and from that we understood how they performed in the context of the average grades within their school, because we could have taken those predicted 3As. Sure. And had 200 students to look in and find our 50, but we wanted to find the people who actually had the drive and the ambition to succeed, because it's a very long process to go through. So we used the contextual data, and had we not used the contextual data, we would have missed Holly, which is really interesting, because Holly outperformed her school average by 52%. So an absolute superstar. So utilising that software, we created our pool from which we found 50 students we wanted to see. And then they came along to a very rigorous assessment day. So the morning was a controlled test on drafting. So we gave them a sponsorship agreement for one of our major entertainment shows, fictitious facts, which they were given, some of them in advance, and some were given to them on the day. So they had a bit of time to familiarise themselves with the precedent format that we use and the standard terms and conditions and some of the elements of the deal that they'd be drafting across into that precedent. But then we kind of threw the curveball in. On the day you had effectively half an hour to simulate the facts you'd been given before with the new facts you were given on the day. They then had an hour or so, I think it was, Holly? I
think so, yeah, about an hour.
To draft the agreement. And then ask and prepare an email that we went with that first draft to the client, asking for additional information, because obviously we'd left stuff out. So they did that in the morning. Then in the afternoon we put them through a teamwork exercise, because obviously any good lawyer needs to be a great team player as much as they are as an individual technician. And within that we did a workflow planning exercise. So ahead of the day they were given the various characteristics of team members, and then they effectively assumed the role of a head of legal, planning the workflow for that team the next following week. So they had to understand what the expertise was of the individuals, and then on the day they got an understanding of what their current workload was. So what we were looking for was not so much the perfect kind of timetable for these individuals to work to, but how they kind of interacted with their fellow team members in their team to kind of arrive upon an agreed workflow. So after that day, we then whittled it down to 8, Holly being one of them, and I interviewed them alongside our Global General Counsel, Andrew Garrard. Then we whittled it down to 3. And then we gave you a tiebreaker, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
And from which we picked Holly.
I mean, it's a challenging recruitment process to go through when you're just finishing school.
Yeah, so I was 18, yeah.
Yes. And what attracted you to doing a legal apprenticeship rather than going through the more traditional route of going to university, LPC and a training contract? What drew you to that?
So I knew I wanted to become a lawyer since I left school. I did some work experience in a barrister's chambers and a solicitor's firm. So I was always kind of interested in law, knew that I wanted to go down that route, but I come from a background where it may not have been the best idea for me to go to full-time university because my parents wouldn't be able to support me with my living costs. And once I had been through university and got to the LPC stage, I wouldn't have been able to fund myself to do that unless I'd been working, and obviously the amount of training contracts are not enough for the amount of people coming through university that are doing law and the LPC and the BPTC, all these kind of things. So I wanted to look into alternative routes into law, and I also didn't want to do what everybody else does. I wanted to try and do something a little bit different, stand out from the crowd and just try something new. Because I'd done my work experience, I wanted to start my career as early as possible. So I started looking into firms that did apprenticeships, because I had heard about legal apprenticeships but not solicitor apprenticeships. I'd only heard about paralegal apprenticeships, and that they didn't really appeal to me because I knew I wanted to qualify. That was my end goal. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a lawyer, and that was it. So then I come across ITV solicitor apprenticeship, and it was just everything all in one. I would get my law degree, I'd get my LPC, I'd qualify, I'd have 6 years work experience on top of that. So at the end I would be in a better position, I believe, than somebody who had gone through the traditional route, who wouldn't have maybe as much work experience in order to get a job. So
this apprenticeship scheme takes you 6 years then?
6 years, yeah.
So first 4 years?
Is my law degree.
Okay.
So I've already finished 1 year. I'm just starting my second year now. So first 4 years is the law degree, last 2 years is the qualification period, so what would have been a training contract had I gone through the traditional route.
And how has the first year been?
Amazing. It's been really good. I've enjoyed every second of it. I've been working in the commercial marketing team over at Gray's Inn Road, and I've been doing airtime and sponsorship contracts, NDAs, variation letters, amendments, literally anything I could think of I've been doing. And some of the work that I've been doing has been on a trainee solicitor level. So for me personally to come out of college straight away, go straight into a job, go into uni, start doing things like that straight away, which no one else is doing. Nobody else is kind of doing these trainee level, lawyer level work. It's been amazing for me, and I've really enjoyed it. Everyone I've met has been so supportive, and ITV has kind of helped me through. I'm not sure I would have done so well if everyone hadn't been so supportive of me.
That's fantastic. So you were learning at university at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're actually putting what you're learning into practice already.
Exactly, yeah.
Sounds amazing. Barry, for you, what are the advantages for you and your team taking on a solicitor apprentice in this way?
Well, Holly, at the end of her 6 years, will be the only lawyer within ITV who will have seen all of our divisions and all the various aspects. So she'll spend time with my commercial and marketing team, which she's done over the last year. Her final year is coming back to one of my teams, the online pay and interactive team. But in the intervening period, she's off with our studios, so the guys who make the programmes. She'll go off to our international sales house, who take the formats and the package programmes and sell them into other countries. She'll go off to our content compliance, the guys looking at the broadcasting code, defamation and privacy. Equally, she'll go after our central legal team, who look after litigation and major M&A transactions. And sandwiched in between all of that, she's going to go off to Slaughter to do a property seat, and Arnold Porter Case Scholar to do a litigation seat. So all in all, Holly's going to have this amazing helicopter view of ITV, which is going to be really helpful. Part of my role is to look after the operational side of our group legal department. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Holly about what she thinks could work better, because we are a value chain. We, you know, we make it, we buy it, we sell it domestically, we sell it internationally. And then there's a wraparound of the kind of general shared services elements that we provide. And nobody has had the ability to see it all the way through. So I think, you know, Holly's view is going to be exceptional, and probably she's going to be the next GC. I should probably start thinking about looking for another job.
I mean, that insight just sounds tremendous for you. It's a real advantage.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. And I mean, Holly, what recommendations would you give for students who are thinking about looking into the solicitor apprenticeship? Really, what advice would you give them?
So I would say definitely do your research. Do as much research as you can, both into the firm or the in-house company that's offering the apprenticeship. Do as much research as you can into them. Also, the format of the scheme. You need to be sure that it's right for you and it's your preferred way of qualification, and that you're ready to commit yourself for 6 years, because 6 years is a long time for you and for the people, your employers that are committing to you. So it's a two-way street. You need to ensure that you're kind of mature enough and you're ready to take on the responsibility. But also I would say don't let the 6 years put you off. 'Cause 6 years does sound like a long time, but my first year has absolutely flown by. I've barely even noticed it go past, so it doesn't faze me anymore, the 6 years. I know it's going to be over before I know it. But I would recommend them 100%.
I guess, Barry, my sort of final question for you really is, for GCs, heads of legal that are thinking about looking into running a solicitor apprenticeship scheme, how do they go about finding out what it's about and building it into their team and the way they bring people in?
Well, the SRA are exceptionally helpful, I would say, that on the board.
Yeah.
But you'll always be able to speak to somebody there with their advisory line in terms of what are the regulatory requirements and how what parameters you need to put in place to ensure that you're ticking the right boxes in terms of the academic side as well as the work experience element. Equally, we're very happy to share. On your site, we're putting up our student handbook, and which kind of step by step explains our apprenticeship scheme. We did that really for the students, but also the parents, because a lot of parents had students who had grades capable of going off to university to study law, and to convince them that actually this was equivalent and I think better as a route, we wanted to produce something which those parents could look through and reassure themselves that it was of equal calibre and of equal standing to the individual once they finished the 6 years. So we're happy to share all of that, and we're very happy to talk to anyone who's interested in doing it. So we really believe at ITV this is a great step forward for the in-house community, and we're, as we did back in 2009, we got dispensation for the SRA to start a legal clinic. I'm in a local charity here, and we got the ability to do it without insurance, but using an indemnity model. We shared that model back then. We're happy to share this model now.
Fantastic. I mean, I for one have found this an incredibly interesting topic to learn about in the last few days, and then talking to you both today. I know my dad would have been very happy to look at this route as an alternative to going to university for so long. It's been a pleasure. Thank you both very much for your time today and giving us such an overview of this scheme at ITV and what it's like to be a solicitor apprentice. And thank you very much for joining us for this discussion. I hope that that's been both interesting and useful for you. Thank you.